Hi, it's Artemy. You can also call me Art, and you can find me at CUArtist pretty much everywhere. As I mentioned yesterday, today I wanted to talk about working on art studies and trying to improve specific skills. Because while working on a comic is going to help you improve rapidly, there's definitely things that I think are helpful to just work on as warm-ups outside of your comic. The key to working on improvement of art, I would say, for me at least, is kind of having a focus to work on. Looking at your art generally and just being I just want it to be better, and not trying to analyze what specific pieces you want to be better is going to be so overwhelming and not necessarily get you where you want to be. So every once in a while, I only have a couple instances of this recorded, but I'll put them up on screen. I will make a list of the things I want to improve on in my artwork, and not necessarily go all out and only study those things, because usually it's not a very small list, but frequently just trying to be more mindful of those things while you're working. But also sometimes it is really necessary to do a specific focus. So some of the things I wrote that I wanted to improve on in 2018, I believe, were animals, cars, interiors, just general backgrounds, anatomy, and clothing. So in the next couple pages of my sketchbook, I have just a page of a bunch of different animals that I wanted to work on making more cartoony and more in my style. I don't think I ever specifically focused on cars. There isn't a ton of vehicle stuff in my comic, so I'm not too worried about it. When I get to that point, I'm gonna use so many references. I also ended up doing a lot more studies as preparation for doing art, mostly using Sketch Daily reference, which I've mentioned. I will also link that below here. And for the clothing, I ended up choosing outfits that I thought would be fun for my characters to wear, and just drawing them in those, and trying to get an idea of how to make clothes look less flat. More recently than that, I definitely really wanted to get more exciting composition and having more dynamic poses. That was one of the reasons why I started reading Full Metal Alchemist, because I thought there would be a lot more interesting action scenes that I could learn from. I still want to have more basic anatomy studies that I'm working on. I was just looking through my big sketchbook that I have a lot of that in, and it is really helpful for me to just do that kind of regularly. It really keeps me kind of grounded in how the human body looks, and makes it so it's a lot easier for me to make things more cartoony. Something that even more recently I have noticed and I'm trying to start working on is value, which is part of color theory adjacent stuff, which I've talked about. But I really do want it to be able to be easily distinguished between various colors, whether or not it is in black and white or not, so that the foreground does pop more. I'm aware of how to work towards getting that being better. I just have yet to actively try and put in the practice for that. I think in order to kind of make one of these lists for yourself, because I do think having a list that you can look at if you are in an art block, or if you're not sure what you should draw, is definitely really, really helpful, and makes it a lot more manageable if it's in smaller, bite-sized pieces. But I think it is very important to look at your current art and try and pinpoint the spots that are giving you problems. If you can't do that kind of analysis, I think it would be really worthwhile to find a art or webcomic Discord or something where you can ask for critiques, and kind of figuring out where the areas that you are more weak at are. Mind you, this is not something you have to do, it's just if you are looking for those ways to improve. If you are not ready to receive critique, you do not have to get it. looking at other people's art that you admire and kind of trying to pinpoint the things that are different from yours in theirs art would definitely be something that could be useful. Trying to think about the things that they are doing that you wish you could be doing and trying to study those things. It could be something like character design, even. There's so much possibilities. Another idea of things you could add to this list are things you will need to draw for your comic, and being I will have to get to this eventually, so it will be helpful if I start doing studies and paying more attention to those things now. And if none of those things give you any ideas of what to try and work on if you are wanting to work on things, I am going to put up a picture and also link to a post that I saw, I think also in 2018, of a 30-day improvement challenge. I did not end up getting through it, but the stuff that I did get through was so helpful to my art journey. It really got me more into doing studies, and that was so good for younger me. I have considered trying to do this challenge again a couple times, and I definitely am still considering it. It just gives you a lot of different ideas of what to work on, a lot of different art things you can work towards. Yeah, some other examples of things that you might want to look at are the quality of your lines. That was something I had a really hard time with for a while. I was so shaky with them, and I've mentioned before working in Clip Studio and having a crunchier brush definitely helped me with that. But yeah, there's so much stuff to work on in art, and I think that kind of compiling a list for yourself so you can just kind of keep in mind while you are working what things you want to be paying attention to. That is all I have for today. Thanks for listening, and I hope to see you tomorrow.